like what has rugby done for you outside of the connections and obviously playing the game, but what has it done for you and your identity and who you've grown into be?
Fully shaped me as a person. I mean, I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have the beautiful baby without rugby. Like she's a better rugby player than I ever was or will be. Um, Really shaped who I am as a person, giving me friends around the world. What is rugby? It's given me more and more of that self-belief to like stand up for what I believe in and do what I want to do. Like it was definitely kind of insane as a 22-year-old to be like, I'm gonna find a way to make a living in this sport. And I did
Yeah.
it. And I slept on friends' couches for years. I bought one-way plane tickets to places. Like rugby has shaped who I am. It's also taught me to like just go for what I want. Um, at some point you pick up the ball, you try and hang on to it, you go forward through the defense. Like it's just forward. Like the whole point of rugby is going forward. And in most 15s the game, you got 14 of your friends trying to help you move that ball forward. So I'd say just that determination to like, no, I'm going for what I'm going for. This is the goal. Go for it, even if it maybe seems crazy at the time. And then also that your community is going to back you and be surrounded by good people.
Hi, welcome to Say More Words, a podcast that was created to emphasize the human experience through stories. I hope that you come here to learn, to expand, and most importantly, learn how to say more words. Speak your story, speak your truth, boo boo. We're so happy you're here.
Okay, welcome back to Say More Words. I'm super excited you're here. I'm super excited for my guest. This is Joe Lippert. He is one of my longtime friends. We've been friends for, gosh, almost 20 years now, which seems like forever considering we're only 20 years old. So it's very weird. Before we introduce Joe, though, or have Joe introduce himself, Joe, what is the song of the day?
The song of the day is "Who Let the Dogs Out" by the Baha Men.
Of course. Sure. Sure. That makes sense. The most annoying song that ever existed.
That's a
Our
theme song for a rugby team I lead. It's like there's some friends who it's a fave song, and I had to
Yes,
weave it in. It was one of a couple, and I was like, I gotta do it. Gotta do
we
it.
gotta do it. We gotta do it. All
Yeah.
right, Joe, tell us, who is Joe Lippert?
Joe Lippert is I would say, a passionate rugby person more than anything. I'm a proud Wisconsinite. I grew up out in the country in Wisconsin. My family has a dairy farm, but I found rugby at UW Eau Claire, and I took to it like peanut butter and jelly. By the end of college, I kind of like made up my mind. I said, I think this is maybe a little insane at the time, but I'm going to try and give rugby 10 years. And if I can't find a way to make a living in the sport of rugby in 10 years, like, okay, well, then I'll pivot and I'll figure something out. And it took about 6, 7 years of, I was like, I want to travel the world while I'm young, and I want to try and make rugby my career. And it took about 6, 7 years before I found a way, mostly as a coach, to make a full-time living at rugby. But it's been kind of my whole life, my entire adult life, up until meeting my wife, also a rugby player, and now just recently having a baby. But yeah, Joe Lippert is a rugby person. I've taken a step back in the last year since we had the baby, away from I left my most recent full-time coaching job at Iowa Central, moved back to Wisconsin. Want to give my parents some grandparent time. Want to be around my wife and my family. She's also from Wisconsin. But I'm trying to stay active in the game. I coached the Midwest Barbarians All-Stars, so that's like a Midwest college all-star team. Staying involved with that. I helped out with UW Eau Claire this past fall a little bit, so my alma
Oh
mater,
yeah.
coaching them. Yeah, yep. Helped the boys a little bit. Really enjoyed it. They got a great group right now. They lost in the national round of 8 to the eventual champs. But great group of boys. I'm a rugby person through and through. And kind of what I'm doing now, I've started a Substack and just a little YouTube channel that just got going. It's basically me just making silly shorts right now. I'm still waiting for my nicer camera and mic equipment to get here in the mail. I think the cam's supposed to get here later today. But right now it's mostly just me making silly shorts and doing a little bit of game commentary on the Six Nations tournament. But I am a rugby person and a Wisconsinite through and through.
I love it. But for those of you who've listened, you know that rugby is one of those weird things that I have. I stumbled into the men's rugby house the very first weekend freshman year and then didn't leave. I moved in. I've been a part of it. I married into it. I loved everything about rugby. And Joe, one of the things, like, people always ask me, like, well, what is it? Why? And I tell them, like, I don't know. You don't know it until you're in it. I mean, it's a rough game played by really beautiful humans that will do anything. I've stayed in it because I fully believe that it does not matter where I am or what I'm doing. I'm going to find somebody with rugby, and I'm going to be protected and cared for and safe and have a great time. And um, one of my favorite things about you, we call it the 6 degrees of Joeski, where you can be anywhere in the world and probably find somebody who knows you because of how well connected in the sport you are and what you have done. So, can you do me a favor and talk to people about, like, why rugby? Like, what is it about it that just is, that just does it? Why are we here?
I like it. The physicality is certainly something that drew me to it, but it's got just like a beautiful flow to it. Rugby is a game about
Hmm.
space, and I don't think my biggest strength as a rugby player is that I'm like the biggest, strongest person, or that I dominate contact, or even that I really like smashing into people a whole heck of a lot. As a basketball player, I can see the field really well. I'm a good communicator, and I can get the ball where it needs to be really quickly. But really, what hooked me was the people. It attracts, like, kind of like we sometimes describe it as the island of misfit toys. Like, it attracts some of the most interesting, strange, slightly dysfunctional, but ultimately like warm, welcoming, beautiful human beings, like you just said. It take me all over the world. For a number of years, over a decade, I'd go to Southeast Asia, play in tournaments there. I have friends in almost every major metropolitan area in Asia, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, friends in France, friends in Africa, friends all over the world. It's ultimately the people. Like, the sport itself, beautiful flowing, but also there's like brutal physicality to it. And I love the fact that when the ball is in play, the ball is in play. Like, the players on the field, they're making the decisions. Whatever they decide is what they do. It
Mhm.
can't be overcoached in the way like football, where the coach is making all the play calls and everything. In rugby, like, we can have strategies, we can prepare for a game in a certain way, but when the ball's in play, like, my players out on the field got to make the decision. Or if I'm on the field as a player, I can play what's in front of me, regardless of whatever it is. Nope, I see this right now. I talk to the guy next to me. Let's do that right now, because that's what's on. So it's about the people, and it's about the beauty and the physicality.
Well, and we know that here in the United States, like, rugby isn't considered, I guess, a major sport here. It's growing. But what would you say that we need to do or tell people to get them into this world? We want it to be bigger here. We want it to be more prominent. And I think that there's been divisions throughout the country that have done a really good job. Midwest rugby, like, you hear about rugby everywhere in the Midwest. I moved to the South and it's here, but it's not as prevalent. So what do we need to do to get more people in this space, to get, like, essentially create a platform where we can get you a job where you can work in rugby for the rest of your life and it doesn't matter?
I would say we as a rugby country is we need to find our own identity and stop apologizing for being American, because what I've seen in my 20 plus years in the game is that American rugby is oftentimes looking outward, or we're trying to replicate like traditional rugby powerhouses. We bring in foreign coaches. There's not still yet, in my mind, not a cohesive American rugby identity. And a lot of what I've been writing about on my Substack and with some of the silly shorts that I've done on the YouTube channel that I just started, it's about us. It's kind of pumping American rugby up to say, no, let's do it our way. Let's find our way of doing it. When we're authentically American and we find our own voice, I think that's when we'll find success. Also, I mean, we've got a World Cups coming up. The USA is going to host a men's World Cup in 2031 and the women's one 2 years later in 2033. I think that's a massive opportunity for the sport in this country. Looking forward to it. I think Alona Mar on the women's side of the game is one of the more popular. Has the most followers of any rugby player in the world. I think she's done a great job, like bringing rugby, like the awareness of rugby, to young girls in America. But we need to like stop apologizing for being American and stop trying to replicate the game how other people do it, or stop assuming that, oh, we need to copy how England or New Zealand or South Africa or any of these other countries that are those traditional rugby powerhouses. Stop trying to copy them. Find our own identity, find our own style of play, find our own American rugby voice, and go from there. And then just get the ball in more kids' hands. There's a lot of isolated pockets in this country where rugby's going really well. So in Wisconsin, the Fox Valley area, kind of from Green Bay to Fond du Lac, they've had a phenomenal like middle school flag rugby program for quite some time now. They've got a kid who's 20, I believe he's 20. He's a sophomore at Life University. He's already in the senior Eagles. So that's the USA national teams. He's in their camp right now, or just finished. They just had a camp in California. That's a kid I first met when he was in like 5th grade. He's from a rugby family. There's a bunch of these kids from that youth program that now they're just getting into adulthood. And even by the time they were in high school, they were really good. Like they had all the reps, they had the skill sets down. And we need to get more kids a ball way sooner in life, rather than a lot of people pick it up like me at college or even in high school. Like in some cases, for some positions, that is too late. We want to get a rugby ball in kids' hands like when they're like 6, 7 years old, so that like they've had all this time, they've had this thing in their hand for hundreds of hours, and the game comes naturally to them. And you're not teaching them like the basic rules and laws and strategies of the game. They're just playing, and they have those skill sets already by the time they get to high school. So we got to replicate what's done well. Another shout out, Memphis Intercity Rugby. They do a phenomenal job getting young kids in a rough city, in rough parts of Memphis. They get a ball in their hand. They've got a lot of kids who've gone on to colleges. They've got a couple ladies who are at Ivy League schools now through rugby. We need more of that. We need more. Get it pushing rugby down to the youth and to people who we don't traditionally think of as rugby communities. As soon as we make that pie bigger and we find our own like American rugby identity and we stop looking outward for it, we're going to be successful. And then that World Cup, those home World Cups, those can be a game changer if we do it right.
We do it right over the next few years. It's funny you say we have to stop apologizing. We went to the Rugby World Cup in 2023, and I was standing in the beer line, and one of the guys next to us, they're like, "You're from America?" We're like, "Yeah." They're like, "You know you didn't make it, right?" We're like, "We know we didn't make it, but we still like rugby, so that's why we're here. We're trying." And here in DFW, that was, we moved here about 12 years ago, and it was shocking to us how many clubs there were here, how many resources there were here. And then thankfully, now that Calvin is of age, starting next year, he'll get to start playing rugby because we have a huge Tongan community here. So rugby is really deep here in DFW. And so he'll get to start playing. But I know that there's a lot of places that they don't have youth rugby. And I completely agree. We need to get it into their hands sooner. What would you say, just from people who don't know the culture? I say our culture because I've been here for 20 years, so like I'm in. Like, what has rugby done for you outside of the connections and obviously playing the game, but what has it done for you and your identity and who you've grown into be?
Fully shaped me as a person. I mean, I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have the beautiful baby without rugby. Like she's a better rugby player than I ever was or will be. Really shaped who I am as a person, giving me friends around the world. What is rugby? It's given me more and more of that self-belief to like stand up for what I believe in and do what I want to do. Like it was definitely kind of insane as a 22-year-old to be like, I'm going to find a way to make a living in this sport. And I did it. And I slept on friends' couches for years. I bought one-way plane tickets to places. Like rugby has shaped who I am. It's also taught me to like just go for what I want. At some point, you pick up the ball, you try and hang on to it, you go forward through the defense. Like it's just forward. Like the whole point of rugby is going forward. And in most 15s, the game, you got 14 of your friends trying to help you move that ball forward. So I'd say just that determination to like, no, I'm going for what I'm going for. This is the goal. Go for it, even if it maybe seems crazy at the time. And then also that your community is going to back you and be surrounded by good people, because when you're on a good rugby team, you're surrounded by good people who we have the common purpose. We want to move the ball forward. We want to score more points than the other guys. We want to stop them from scoring points. That like embrace of your community and the people who are with you doing what you're doing right now. And also that just determination to like, no, I'm going forward, whatever the goal, go through it.
Well, and on the community aspect, like I'm going forward, I'm going to do it, and them supporting you. That has been, I think, the biggest thing from the first moment I stepped into the house to here I am today. that community, no matter what, they protect their own. It almost feels like the military, which is probably why I loved it so much growing up in a military family. Like walking into this environment, it's we're going to protect you, we're going to serve you, we're going to help you. Anything we can do, we're going to do it, which is what I have loved the most. What because people come into this space, come into the Say More Words space because they're looking for information, they're looking for that inspiration really. What how did you, I guess, build the tenacity to be like, this is what I want, I'm going to do it through all of the hardships that also followed? How did you pivot through that? How did you work through that to make sure that that dream that you had, that quite honestly, I remember when you're like, I'm going to work in rugby. I remember that time period when you're like, it doesn't matter what's going to happen. I'm going to do this. And people were like, are you sure? Like, are you sure? Like, what gave you the tenacity to keep going through all of that for that big dream that you had that
Kind
nobody
of eye
else
on the
really saw?
prize. Yeah, eye on the prize, and just like I knew what it looked like eventually. I like, as long as I didn't know every step along the way, but I knew what the final destination was, me finding a way to make a living through this sport I love. And and then taking like, okay, this next step, that's the right step for that. So while I was traveling, there was times where I made like absolutely terrible decisions. I didn't start a regular career. I mean, I kept working in on farms, the family farm. I went to Australia, worked on a farm. I bartended a lot for a few years. Like, but what that allowed me to do was that allowed me to always make the right decision for rugby. So I kept like the long-term goal of like, I need to build a resume as a coach. Eventually at the end, I'm going to be making a living at this sport. I'm going to have a really cool life facilitated by rugby. What's like the next opportunity in front of me? That's a good decision. Yep, that puts me closer to my ultimate goal. And then I wasn't getting sidetracked to like, oh no, but I want a nicer apartment. I want this car. Whatever. No, everything was solely focused on the end destination. And like when things got I mean, I can think of times when I was like sleeping in my car on cold nights and I'd have to wake up you restart the car, crank the heat for 10 minutes and then go back. And I remember thinking like being like, this is kind of fun. Like, I'm going to look back and this is going to be cool. This is going to be worth it. Single-minded focus on where, I knew the direction I was heading and I knew my eventual destination. And then just as each opportunity present itself, is this a right decision to get me in that direction? Like, I flew back from Australia. I was making a very, very nice living on this farm, working a lot. But I had this opportunity to coach the Wisconsin College Select side, to be the head coach of it. And so I flew home from Australia for a couple weeks, right in the middle of planting season there, and coached this team for a couple weeks, and then flew back to Australia. It made no sense financially, and I missed out on a whole bunch of work, a whole bunch of money in the short term. But it was like, no, being that this is a program that I was a player of, then I was an assistant coach of. I was given this opportunity to be the head coach of it this year. I think this is the right decision, and I need to take it. So, money decisions be darned. I got enough money to get there and back, and it'll work out. It's the right decision if I'm keeping my long-term goal in mind.
I think that's so powerful. So many people get discouraged by their dreams because they look at the big end vision and they have that, but they miss out on opportunities because they're terrified. And that's what I've always loved about you, that you've just been like, well, I mean, fuck it, let's see what happens. Like,
Yeah.
and it's going to work out, like in that belief of that long-term goal, like it's just going to work out. And I just need to figure out the in between. And so many people just give up when trying to figure out the in between.
The in between is where you're going to learn all the lessons, though, too. Even I can think of opportunities I took that like they didn't work out. We didn't win the games. Hold on. I walked into this. This is not what I think I signed up for as this job. But then like I learned from it. I did the best I could in the short term. I took the lesson from what was in front of me right then. And then I moved forward as a smarter, like more seasoned, like wiser person as a result, always keeping that long-term goal in mind. Like if you know the destination, like the path there, it figures itself out. And you just gotta now, like I'd say being afraid of looking stupid or being like, oh no, I'm not ready for that. Or I'm not like, no, you got to take that opportunity when it's there. If it's the right decision that puts you one step closer to that final destination, it's the right decision.
So let me ask you this. This is like back to a conversation, like 2 conversations ago, but how do you feel about the MLR?
Ooh, I love like it's huge that we have a domestic pro league. It's a
Yep.
bummer that there a number of teams have dropped out recently. You know, I've coached a number of players at the college level who went on and played in the MLR. It's really cool to have, and especially as the last, 10 years as I was recruiting American high school kids and then MLR became a thing, it's a really good carrot, kind of like that destination. Like you want, well, there's the domestic professional league now. I think it's fantastic. If there's one thing, like I love the idea of it. And I think I think the teams that remain, I think they're in a position to be successful. One thing that has irked me about the MLR is the fact that all of the head coaches are foreigners. Is the fact that they've changed their roster rules coming into this season, so it's going to be more American focused. And I don't want to be like protectionist and about this, but it's an American league, and the big purpose of it is to develop American players. And I watched over and over again as at key positions, we bring in guys from New Zealand or South Africa to cover those positions because they're like that much better as a rugby player. And I get through the context of helping a team win for this next season. Maybe that's the right call. The coaching thing is one that bothers me because I've been told like, oh no, your resume isn't good enough. I mean, I coached this was all Americans team. I helped coach in France. I've sent over, double-digit players onto professional rugby, a couple guys to play for their national teams and stuff. And I'm being told like, no, you're not good enough for this level. And I'm just, at this point, I shrug my shoulders and say, I'm going to keep going forward. I'll find a way. But the fact that every single MLR team is headed by a foreign coach, there is one assistant coach in the entire league that is American born and raised. I think that is my big beef with MLR right now. I love that it exists. I think most of the teams that remain are doing a phenomenal job, and I really want to see them be successful going forward. In particular, I'm backing Anthem, North Carolina, because they're specifically focused on developing American players, and they're the one team that has an American assistant coach. But I've been around this for over 20 years. Like there is the coaching talent in this country is there. I think it is absurd. And my big beef with MLR is the fact that they keep insisting that like, oh, no, we need to bring in foreigners because they have a better perspective or they're better coaches. Like I disagree. I think there's plenty of really good coaches in America. And I think if we're looking to grow this game for the longer term, like how do American coaches end up, if my resume isn't good to coach at the professional level, like, well, how do I get there? Because and I get the whole like, well, you haven't coached at the international or professional level yet, but we're not giving those opportunities to American coaches. And in a lot of cases, I think American players. I think that's headed in the right direction. But I'm a fan. I'm really rooting for Anthem this year. I love the Chicago Hounds nearby. I think the Free Jacks, they've won the last 3 titles. I think they do a lot of things like really, really well. And I know some people in their organization. My beef with MLR is I don't think they're looking to bring along American coaches. And I think they're focused on, I think they look at the big shiny object of someone who grew up in a traditional rugby country, New Zealand, the UK, Ireland, whatever. And they bring those people in as general managers for the most part, and definitely on the coaching staff. Like, again, almost every coaching staff in the MLR is fully foreign. You've got one assistant coach who's American born and raised. I just think we can do better. So,
yeah, absolutely. Anthem is now our team because our Dallas's team crumbled not last year, but the season before, I think, was our final season, which was devastating here. And Kuka, who is our coach, is the head coach of Anthem right now. So that's who we're.
Yeah, your husband did me a solid and hooked me up with him. I actually had a call with him, was about 3 weeks ago. And really? I wrote it. Yeah. He gave me an hour of his time before. That was like about a week before the USA camp started. Had a really good call with him, picked his brain, got some advice, just got some further perspective on the game and what he thinks American rugby coaches and players need. Great dude. Also their analyst, Declan Orloff. I did a thing at the Midwest for Midwest All Stars. Yeah, right there. There we were in Atlanta. They did MLR Coaches Academy, and Declan is a Aussie guy who's their analyst. Put on a great Great presentation that kind of made you think about what they're looking for at the professional level and more qualitative metrics rather than just like standard tackle rate, whatever. And
Right.
he's super generous with his time. He's followed up with, we've gone back and forth a couple times with emails, texts. He's sending me stuff. Like I really like the staff of Anthem has been super generous with their time and resources for me personally. So I'm backing them.
That makes me so happy.
Mhm.
Okay, so final question for you. What is your next step? What are you looking for? What do you want to do in this rugby world that we have?
Well, for right now, I want to just like I'm really trying to push my voice back out there, especially with the Substack, and we'll get more into the videos. Again, mostly right now it's me making silly shorts and then doing a little commentary. Want to teach a little bit of it. Ultimately, I'm going to continue to coach no matter what, even if it's not in a full-time role. I've always said my goal, like one of my long-term goals, is to coach at least for a few seasons at the professional level. In the
Mhm.
near term, the last 2 summers, my wife and I, we've gone out to Vail, Colorado. We have a really
Yeah.
cool program out there where we bring in 20 college kids. We mix them with the local guys. We give the college kids a great experience for the summer. We're excited to go back there in the short term. It's actually an interesting time for me because I'm not 100% sure what the next step looks like. But what I want to do is help be a voice for pushing American rugby forward. I feel blessed that I'm in a position where I don't have to make a desperate decision by any means. Made a lot
Yeah.
of good decisions along the way, and I have a little bit of time. And I've intentionally kind of pulled back, and I'm focused on my family now that I got a young daughter. Ultimately, in the long term, I want to be all over at that home World Cup in 2031 and then the women's one in 33. I just want to be a voice for pushing American rugby forward because rugby's given me the coolest life and the coolest family, both like my actual family,
Yeah.
wife and kid, but then the bigger family, like of
Yeah.
which you are a big part. And I just think American rugby, we think so small and we keep thinking outside of ourselves, or we're looking for somebody else to come tell us how to do it or save us. I just want American rugby to back ourselves and figure out what American rugby looks like and find our own identity and stop thinking we're inferior. Because as soon as we stop thinking we're inferior, that's when we're going to make breakthroughs and stop being inferior.
Yeah. We have to change our mindset on it. Amen. I love it.
100%.
I love it. Well, I'm so proud of you. I love that I knew you when and I know you now and I'll know you then. And it is a very noble thing. We know quite a few people who are on the process of trying to make USA Rugby something, anything bigger, better, more themselves. And I agree. So I thank you for your time. Everybody, I am linking Joe's information in the show notes. So you'll be able to contact him, follow him if you have any ideas, if it's big in your area. I know one of the big things for us is creating something here in DFW like the Wisconsin Rugby Complex up in Madison, because that is a beautiful facility and such a powerful thing. And I think if we had some more of those, that allows our youth in high school and college rugby to have a place and a voice, it'll help too. So um, yeah, I just thank you. Thank you for being here.
Speaking of the Madison United Rugby Sports Complex, I'm presenting a coaching clinic there on, I believe it's March 8th. It's
Okay.
going to be keeping rugby safe, making rugby safe and fun. So that's kind of
I
the next
love that.
opportunity. I'll shoot you that. I forgot about that, but
Yeah,
super
send it to
excited.
me.
Great facility, and me and the wife are going to be around Wisconsin here for a while we raise the daughter.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. And I will see you next week.